What's going on there, guys? We back with another one. Phil Jackson is under fire again. Now, man, look. Phil Jackson has said some things over the years. This made Scottie Pippen call him a racist, made LeBron call him out on certain things. And we're going to get into all of that today because this came up again. Phil Jackson was asked about the bubble, the NBA bubble. And if you remember at that time, there were a lot of slogans. It was during the George Floyd protest, and it had like Black Lives Matter all over the court and stuff like that. Had all types of things depicting that, right? And Phil Jackson said they even had slogans on the floor and the baseline. It was trying to bring a certain audience to the game, and they didn't know it was turning other people off. People want to see sports as non-political.
Lockout year, and they did something that was kind of wanky. They did a bubble down in Orlando, and all the teams that could qualify went down there and stayed down there.
No audience.
And they had things on their back like, justice, and I made a little funny thing like, justice just went to the basket, and equal opportunity just knocked him down. And somebody, I had another name for a guy who has jersey in the back of a jersey, had some other slogan. So my grandkids thought that was pretty funny to play up those names. So I couldn't watch that. And the Lakers won, actually. They won that year. And
do you feel like it just made little of the game, like it made it like a sideshow? What do you think it was that turned you off?
Well, it was. They even had slogans on the floor, on the baseline. It was catering. It was trying to cater to an audience or trying to bring a certain audience into play. And they didn't know it was turning other people off, People want to see sports as non-political. We've had a lot of different type of players that have gone on to be like, Bill Bradley was a senator, number of baseball players, been representatives and senators and political, but their politics stay out of the game.
Yeah, it's separate.
Doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
We went and we did some digging on Phil Jackson's statements over the years. Now we can go to the first one. He was talking about what Allen Iverson and those guys was wearing, and he called it prison garb. And we're going to look at these quotes from his book, Maverick, which they talked about in the Last Dance documentary a little bit. So here's the list of quotes, right? White players are more often willing to run patterns and to work collectively. Because of the predominance of blacks in pro basketball, the sport is rapidly disintegrating into a one-on-one sport. There are only 5 or 6 NBA teams who play with more than a superficial degree of team unity. He was with the Knicks. He said the starting front court played white basketball while the guards played black basketball. Black kids growing up want to be the superstar of their neighborhood. They want to be the toughest kids on the block, the richest, or once they get to the playground, the best one-on-one basketball players. White kids, on the other hand, are usually raised in a more homogeneous environment which provides other outlets for personal expression. They're also constantly being taught the principle of subordinating their own personal glory for the good of the group. Now, he also called LeBron James' group around him, and if you all know, LeBron has put his boys in a great position to run his empire. He had the people do it and train them first, and now they help him run his empire. And he called those guys a posse, not looking at it as LeBron getting those guys opportunities, but he looked at them as people that didn't belong in that position. That's why he would call them a posse. And LeBron had this to say about it back then.
I believe that Phil Jackson would have used that same term if he was doing business with someone else, working with another team, or if he was working with anybody in sports that was owning a team that wasn't African American and they had a group of guys around him that he didn't agree with what they did. I don't think he would have called him a posse. But it just shows how far we still have to go.
Do you have any relationship with Phil?
Zero. No relationship at all. I had nothing but respect for him as a coach, for what he was able to do. Obviously, he was at the helm of of my favorite player of all time, MJ, and also been there growing up and watching with the Lakers. But I got nothing for him.
And just like it was said, in the Last Dance documentary, Pippen refused to check back in with 1.8 seconds left when Phil drew up that play for Tony Kukoc, who was a rookie at the time, over Scottie Pippen, whose team it was in Jordan's retirement. Remember, Jordan didn't come back to March of 1995. So during that season, Pippen was the guy, and he was the guy the previous season. I mean, they had they had lost to the Knicks in the playoffs, but they were, a foul call away from potentially advancing past that. So Pippen felt like it was his team. It was his time now. He was obviously the best player on the team, and for Phil to draw that up for Kukoc rubbed him the wrong way. And that's why he said that it was a racial undertone behind him drawing that play up for Kukoc. And so a lot of people just wrote that off at the time. Many individuals were saying Pippen was just on a warpath. Think about it. That was the time when all these quotes was coming out about his book Towards Michael Jordan, how Jordan did this, that, and the third. And so they kind of wrote off what he was saying about Phil at the time. But when you see this, all these quotes and evidence, and it's more, I just want to pull a few things to show you that Phil, I could see how someone could interpret what he's saying as racist for sure, because he's putting race in it. So when you do that, you leave it open for interpretation, what people say. Now, obviously, he would vehemently deny this, but as far as the Black Lives Matter thing, me personally, I didn't agree with what the organization was pushing. They were pushing something totally different than what that terminology says. If you do your research, there was like this older African-American gentleman, I believe in California, that owned Black Lives Matter, and he was really doing it, to try to make changes within the black community. What Black Lives Matter was trying to do is force an agenda and hide behind that. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't with the organization, but the phrase Black Lives Matter itself is definitely needed. That police brutality needed to be addressed, but it needed to be a focal point. And also, if we address that, we have to address what's going on in our own communities too, and some of the foolishness, because I get tired of hearing people talking about spinning blocks and glorifying that, and then expecting another race to treat you better. So they don't look at the full scope of it. So that's why I was never down with the organization. They were too quiet about certain stuff and only wanted to push certain things. And then you saw how they ran off with the money. So it's not, it ain't even whether it's my opinion or not. We saw what happened with the money and how the funds got funny. So back to Phil Jackson calling Iverson's clothes prison garb and all that. Now that's just ridiculous. That's racist. I would go ahead and say that's racist. Because that's what we wear. That's what we were wearing at a certain time in our lives. If David Stern didn't want them wearing that to the game, that's one thing. Anybody can tell you what the dress code is for their workplace. So that is what that is. You ain't got to like it. I understand why he didn't let Iverson come out with an album where he was cussing and going crazy. Like, I don't think Adam Silver should have let Miles Bridges rap about what he was rapping about either. Because that's just not what you're doing. That's not the images you giving off. You ain't calling women bees and talking about shooting people. Not in the NBA. They shouldn't allow it. So I was proud of David Stern for doing that. I just feel like Phil Jackson calling it prison garb and saying those words like that, I feel like that wasn't his place. Scottie Pippen, I could see why he felt the way he felt about it. And to what he said about LeBron was outright racist. Again, he wouldn't say that about anyone else. LeBron is bringing his guys up with him. You see, the thing that bothered me about what he said about LeBron's bringing his guys up with him, but he's not giving handouts. Everybody's working for their place. So the way he got it set up is you working to maintain this. You have a role in running this empire, so the funds that you get are justified. So I didn't feel like that was nothing Phil Jackson should have frowned upon. He's got these guys doing things legally. He like to talk about thuggery and all this stuff as far as Allen Iverson's prison garb thuggery and all that, but he's quiet about LeBron providing legal opportunities for these men. So I feel like there's something there, you know, and there's more evidence. I mean, you go read his books and his quotes over the years. It is what it is, man. That's all I got to say. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.